I went to Papua New Guinea, and I want to explain this story. It's kind of like a long story, but I'll hurry up with it because Papua New Guinea is very unique. One thing about I call it PNG for short. And PNG, it's like, I call it the no man's land. It's like still like real village life material, and the people are like so connected to earth. It's really amazing. So I'll kind of hurry up through the story to kind of get to what I'm going to talk about, because I was offered a really good something very unique, and it was like part of my travels that you don't usually hear or get this offer. So I meet this guy. His name's Steve, and I met him and his girl in Indonesia at the consultant to get into PNG. And when I met him, he basically told me, oh yeah, you can come stay with me, but I'll probably be gone searching for gold, because PNG has the biggest gold mine in the world. It's nothing but like a gold mountain. And so lots of opportunities for gold and stuff there also. But anyways, he's like, oh yeah, you're just gonna come to this place, this city he gave me, and then he said you'll probably stay there, and then you can come out and see me where I'm digging for gold and stuff. And I said, okay, cool. So it took me a couple weeks until I got to him, because I was just kind of going slow. And when I got to this house was his name. The guy's name is Ubal, and Ubal is was the biggest gold miner in PNG, separate from the actual gold mine. And this guy was also the number one wood collector in the world, where he collected all the PNG, like big nose, they call them mosquito mask and stuff. Have you ever seen one? They're super expensive. Like, if you get your hands on the right ones, you can sell them for $100, $200, $300,000. Like, they're very unique, they're like very special, it's one of the only places in the world that does this kind of stuff. PNG is like, I can sit here for hours and hours talking about it. But anyways, this guy was, invested in mask, and I'm not going to get into it, how he does it. Anyways, when he was gone, Ubal was gone, and his secretary or whatever, person looking out for the house, his name is John. They speak, English is their like second language, and their first language is called Pigeon Talk. And it's basically a mixture of like German and English and some of their language. And because Germany, honestly, was there 400 years ago. I can tell you about this story too, but okay, another time.
No, please do.
So Germany was there like 400 years ago. And in these villages type deal, when you go to there, you have to think like a child, because they don't know the outside world. They never seen white person. They never seen a cell phone, like they don't know the outside world. They don't know TVs exist or radios or anything like this. Like real primitive, like village people. But religion has kind of swooped through there, especially the past like 100 years, or at least after World War II. A lot of religion has swamped in. But before, Germany was like the first people in PNG. And they go back like 400 years ago. And the people still talk about it, because this is kind of, they're just village. So that's all there is to talk about. So it kind of just passes down. And so when Germany went there, basically Germany, and this is one reason how Germany got so rich, because, and this is how also I found out how missionaries do things. And I don't care if you're religious or not, but honestly, missionaries are pure evil. And I'll get to this story, and maybe not all of them, maybe do some good, but at least back in the day, this is how they did it. So basically what would happen is, like, when the army of Germany would land in PNG, and they would like bring like, some salt, pepper, some clothes or something. And the people were like, oh, you're helping us out and stuff. You're doing something. And then Germany is like, yeah, we need to pick up all these gold rocks on the river. Because back in the day, they were telling me that you can walk down the riverbanks and there would be diamonds and rubies and gold just on the top, So thousands of years ago, could you imagine what everything looked like, just rivers full of precious metals, but it's been picked up for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years. People have been picking up gold, silver, rubies, and all this stuff. You can see it all in museums and everything like this. But anyways, when Germany went there, they basically were like, yeah, we need you to pick up these gold rocks and these shiny little, ruby stones, and you give them to us. And then the people in the village, they think like, oh, okay, you just want some rocks. We'll give you rocks. Because they don't know the outside world. They don't have a connection where jewelry and all this stuff was made. So basically, oh, okay, yeah, we can help you, no problem. We have nothing else better to do. So, and hundreds of years this went on until maybe about 200 years ago. Then PNG kind of started waking up what's going on and stuff. So that's that story. So back to my story. When I got there, this guy name is John, and basically most of their names are named after Christian people because the Christian religion has come in there. So basically what has happened is with the missionaries, was my second part I was going to say. With the missionaries, they come in together like kind of like with the army. And maybe you see this in like on museums and stuff when you're looking at stuff in the museums where the people will, the religious people would march with the armies and stuff. And even in some countries, the army base or whatever was at the church. Maybe I've seen it before, many times, and which is very surprising, especially in India. They have it a lot, where there'll be like a church, and then right next door is the army base, So they like work together, because the churches also work together with the simple fact that there was death. And when there's death, there's lots of money to be made because people need to get buried, So that's why, they all work together. Anyways, these missionaries, what they do is they literally will come into PNG and they come to these villages where they haven't seen a white person in maybe forever. And they go in there, and what they do is they will fly in there on their private jet, like a little like 4-seat plane. And they come in there, or they might hike in there at first, and then they basically say, okay, we want this to be an airstrip. Can you guys cut all the trees down? Here's some chainsaws, and we'll give you some money to build new houses and all this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And, you okay?
Yeah. 7% left.
Oh, okay, I'll try to hurry. And, so when these missionaries come in there, basically they come in there and they'll live with the people. They will do this as a good deed. And they'll like live with the people, and they will learn their language. Because in PNG, there's over 850 languages in the world. It's the most in the world. Many people don't even know this, And I can go also into, actually, it used to be Papua, and Papua was islands and the whole island itself. But after World War II, America split it because the biggest gold mine is owned by an American company. So what happens is these missionaries come in there and they basically tell people they'll get gold for like super cheap. Like literally if an ounce of gold is $100, they'll pay the village people $10. So this is how they get rich. This is how that they can get their own private planes and stuff and fly it in there, But over time, this is all changing very rapidly now. So when I went out to this village with this guy named John, And John, they're all black people in PNG. There ain't no white people. They're all black and like Aborigine people. And I got there with the guy, John, he let me stay in Ubal's house because that's where he was staying for like 3 days. And then Ubal came back from his vacation or something. And then I basically was hanging out there for like another 3 days. And then we got our boats ready to go out to go see Steve. And when I went to go see Steve, John was going with us. And John was hunting this stuff called eaglewood. And eaglewood is like the most expensive incense in the world. Like these Chinese freaks buy it for like $500 a stick. And it's only grown PNG. There's so much about PNG that many people do not know about. Like vanilla beans in the world, 90% of them come from Papua New Guinea. Yeah. So their land is like precious there. And anyways, when John was talking to me and he spoke English and he spoke the pigeon talk. So when we got out to the villages and stuff, at least maybe one person would know pigeon talk, and then this is how we would communicate. So anyways, when we got to go to see Steve, Steve was like, oh, you need to come. And I'm cutting this story, in half. I'm just trying to hurry. Steve was basically like, you should come with us and you should come with us because it's not safe and this and that, and you'll have more fun with us and blah, blah, blah. And John basically offered and said, no, you can come with me and we can go out to the villages where they've never seen white people before. And I was like, okay. What, shut off?
Yeah.
I can send it to you on this one.
Okay, but we can also change the battery. If you have this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Take 2. So John and we met with Steve, and basically my plan in PNG was to go and see their festivals, because they have the best festivals in the world, the original festivals, not overrun by tourism or nothing. They're free and all this, and all the village people come and gather around and do their things. They do their special dances, and they're all wearing human heads and pig tusk in their noses. Yeah, all this crazy shit, and big costumes and stuff. Yeah, you can Google it. It's very interesting. So that was my original plan, to go there, because there's 2 festivals going to happen like within like about a month and a half apart. So that was my plan. But then when I met John and Steve, I met Steve and then I met John, and John basically was like, come with me. And I thought in my mind, I said, okay, am I ever going to get this chance again to go into a village with somebody I can kind of trust and that knows English and is a pretty cool guy. He's older. He was like, I don't know, 50 or something. But anyways, I was like, I can never get this opportunity probably again, as to the festivals are every year. So I skipped all the festivals and I went with him. Didn't know if I was going to be gone for a week, 2 months. I didn't know. Didn't care. I just wanted to do it. So we were gone. We were gone for 3 weeks. Amazing. Just amazing what you see. Just nature. No chainsaws. No, cars. No, nothing. People, black people with their buckets, or they have their homemade, they'll like intertwine like shit like this and make like a purse out of it or something, like crazy stuff. And anyways, to cut to the story short, is that when I first got there and went to the very first village that we went to, we're smoking weed. I bought a volleyball of weed, like a soccer ball, football, full of weed. It was wrapped up in all aluminum foil, like hard pressed. And you know how much I got it for? $20. And it was like good weed. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with all this? Like a kilo and a half. And anyways, I took it and I was like passing around to people. And I'll tell you that story after if you want to hear it. But because a crazy story where I'm riding with a policeman in his car with all this weed. And so anyways, these people are like, you know, they're like children, like I was saying earlier. They think like a child because they don't know the outside world. They don't know how to mature. They don't have any responsibilities, nothing. So I'm like hanging out in the very first village. We're getting high. The second village we go to, there's this parrot flying around, okay? Like a parrot, a real live parrot, you know, flying around. And it's wild, you know, not caged, you know, the wings wasn't half clipped or anything. It's free. And it comes around, flying around through the trees, and it comes and it lands on a black guy, and then it's like all in its hair nibbling, and then it lands on me, and it's like nibbling away for hours and hours and hours. And then the second village we went to, they all these villages, they have like their own wild pets. They're like so connected to Earth. You know, they're all barefoot, you know, their feet are all like super thick and stuff. Like, you know, like I'm like, oh man, that doesn't hurt your foot or something. They're like kicking a rock. No, I can do anything, you know. I'm like, oh, what? Some of them spoke a little English and you can kind of direct. They're pretty smart, like with hand movements and hand gestures and stuff. Unlike regular society. In fact, you can be like, hey, is a restaurant that? Oh, no, it's yeah, it's that way. and anyways, I'm with these guys, and I spend 3 weeks. Okay, so it's quite a long time in the jungle, and we're walking. And good thing with me though, they carried my bag. They didn't let me carry nothing. They treat you like a god. It's so crazy, like. You know, and I can see like how the missionaries easily manipulated these people and took advantage of them. You know, step by step, I can see how all this stuff went about, you know. And just imagine thousands of years ago when these people, you know, these are how these kingdoms got built up so quickly because the village people knew nothing from the outside world. They're living in their little village and farming sheep and shit, and then all of a sudden this army of people come in with swords and stuff, you know, like, whoa, who are you, you know? So anyways, the second village we went to, and we went to many, I'm just going to point out, we went to like, you know, 10 different villages, because when you're walking, they're pretty smart about it. Like, they'll have like an in-between spot, like a camp spot like this, you know, made. Like in between the village, like a rest spot, like a rest area. And then like they'll have like their farming and stuff, and you know, watermelons and cucumbers, and like whoever stays there just helps out and waters and stuff, the things, and then they pick it and eat it and stuff, you know, because there's food everywhere, growing everywhere, you know. It's like just one big farmland, you know. And anyways, when the second village, they had this pet animal, and it was part of the monkey family, but it's only a night animal. It's only goes out at nighttime. And I can't remember their name. I have pictures of all this in my backpack, though. I should have got my phone. Anyways, they this was a wild pet. And then the third village we go to, this hornbill is flying around. You know, hornbill, like the big hornbill bird. They're huge, and they fly, and they're like whoosh, doo, whoosh, doo, doo, because their wings are so big they hit their body or flap together like this, and you can hear the wind and like an airplane almost. You know, they're crazy like how they sound, because they're not like super high, and they're kind of like gliders, so they're just whoosh, doo, doo. And then, anyways, this bird's flying around, and they're like, John's like, oh yeah, the bird's gonna land here soon. And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm like, you know, thinking like, yeah, this is a wild bird. It's not gonna land here. Like, that's crazy. That's insanity, you know? Okay, a parrot, I can see a little parrot, you know, but a big hornbill, you know? And this bird finally, it lands like over there or something, you know, and it lands, and it's just kind of like hopping around on its 2 feet and like looking at me and turning its head and stuff like a dog, you know, and like looking at eyeballing me and stuff. And they're like, oh, he's just checking you out. You're new, you know, you're white. They kind of joke about like you're white there, you know, but not like a racism, but you're literally the only white person around. and this bird's like hopping around, checking me out. And then all of a sudden, this black lady comes up and she just holds out her arms like this and walks behind the bird. And then the bird just kind of flies up into her arms. And it's all like smiling and shit. You know, it's all like, hey, you know, and she's holding it and bringing it to me. And I'm like, what the, like, whoa, like, no way, this is crazy. I run into the village house, almost like breaking my neck, coming back down, getting my phone to take pictures of this, you know, because like you never, ever, ever, ever in your whole life see the wild bird hanging out with the village people, you know, and not only was it hanging out, it's like the bird was like smiling, all happy and stuff, you know, like it was like you go to like a zoo or something, no bird ain't happy there. They're all, you know, with their angry beaks, you know, but this had like its beak like a little open and like it was smiling, you know. And anyways, you run into many of these things, and many birds, the other bird, cockatoo or something like that, or Pikachu or something, not a cockatoo or something, cock-a-doodle-doo or something. It's a white bird, and they have their feathers that come up like this, and they're very smart. This also, but it wasn't as friendly as the hornbill or the parrot. It was kind of just flies around and says something in their language to you, and then flies to the other tree or something, and it's like talking when it's flying and shit. And so anyways, the very first village, I get to the point of this deal I got made. So the very first village I got to, or sorry, the second, because we had to take a boat and stuff a long ways, like 8 hours down the river. And the second village that we got to, like the very first spot to do the loop around for 3 weeks. So we came to this village and came back, like we did a big circle and came back. So when I come back to this village, basically these guys, they I'm not going to go into all this, but basically in PNG, like the governments don't own property there. The people still own all the land. It's still one of the only countries in the world to do this. Every other country, you pay tax for your property. PNG, no one. They own the land. And it's like one of the only countries in the world. So basically it's like a box, and you have like your supreme leader of that. And then it's like, you know, you cut it that in half, and then they have their captains or whatever, their supreme leaders, and then you cut each little section, and basically it kind of trundles down like a pyramid type deal to these, whoever the supreme leader is. And, you know, but even the supreme leader still has to go with the 4 other people to make a decision. So it's never just one person making a decision there, you know, which is kind of cool about their history and their traditions and culture. So anyways, this, we're there at, and this was the parrot home, and when I come back, they wanted to talk to me, and this was like the main person of the village. You know, he came and talked to me, and he knows English because basically before the missionaries were there like 17 years ago. And yeah, this is another crazy story too. And anyways, the missionaries came there like 17 years ago, left 17 years ago. And they were there for like 8 years or something, you know? And they built a church and all this. The people built a church for the missionaries. And then these people still were paying the missionaries tithe money. Yeah, crazy. Like still paying them tithe money, you know, that like one person would go into town or something and mail the money because the missionaries already left. And I'm like, what the? I was like, hell no, don't pay them. I said, keep the money for your village, you know, do something, send a kid to college or something, you know, buy another boat, you know, F them, you know, like, what are you doing sending them money still, you know? And they basically were like, oh, if we don't send them money, we'll go to hell. And I was like, wow, these missionaries have, that's where I was kind can tell you where I can see how much thousands of years ago these people damaged these people, man. And so anyways, this guy, the supreme leader, I don't remember his name still, he offered me a deal, okay? And the deal was, he said he wanted me to stay. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, we want you to stay, but we want to make it worth your while, you know? And I was like, okay, well, what's your deal, you know? And he's like, okay, well, we want you to stay here. And if you stay here, we will build you a house. We will find you a wife, a virgin wife, and you will farm for you and feed you and everything. And I was like, oh, wow. So basically I'm a king. And he's like, yeah, you can say that. And I was like, huh, well, what do you want from me? And he's like, nothing. We just want you to help our village make it better, make it kind of like a society village where we can advance because you do come from the outside world. And I was like, that's it. You just want me to you just want me to tell you what to do. And that's it. And I basically get free food, a free home, you know, a virgin wife. And he's like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, okay, well, then, okay, I have one question for you. I said, what about if I'm helping you guys and I tell you guys to build something, you know, make a building here or something, and you guys don't listen to me? And he said, well, that's not your fault. That's not your problem. That's our problem, the village leader's problems. He said, you're not going to be doing anything. You're just going to be directing us what to do. And I said, wow, well, I have to think about this, you know. This is, I've never been offered anything like this in my whole life, and I don't think anyone has. Well, at least not for 100 years or some shit. So, yeah, I thought about it, and I was like, you know, hey, I can make my own village and have, you know, maybe 28 wives or maybe 28 children, because they're popping out like an average of like 12 babies per person there. And so it could be a good advantage, you know, but there's also a lot of downfall to it. You know, you are pretty much locked into one location, so that's your life and things like this. But on the other hand, I'm living like a king, so I don't know, you know. But it's definitely one-of-a-kind offer that I've never been offered like this ever. I've never heard anybody else say anything like this. And yeah, I think it's definitely different, you know, because they live there naturally. They know what every plant is, what disease, what's poisonous plant, you know, and they know everything about the jungle, and it's beautiful, very gorgeous. And they have freaking wild pets, you know, I mean... No one else has a wild pet, you know. This is crazy, you know, like somebody in Germany having like a deer or something. Oh, you know, hey, I go and, you know, but in Japan they have wild deer, you know this? In Japan they have wild deer at the park, and like, near Kyoto, I think. They have a park there, like in the center of the mainland of Japan. They have a park. You can look it up. And they have wild deer around the park there. And basically people just give them bananas like monkeys in Thailand or something. But the deer are like, it's more not like a thief. But they will like dig in your purse or something if you have a purse there. And anyways, but these deer there, they freaking bow down to you like the Japanese people. Yeah, I swear to you, I have it on video. Yeah, they'll take their knee and like bow one knee down to the floor, you know, like they're this, and then they go like this. Yeah, and because all the Japanese people like, oh, have a banana, a piece of banana. Okay, bow, and then the deer bow. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, you know, I've just never seen wild birds as, you know, like pets. That's pretty cool. And then PNG is gorgeous, you know. So, okay, if you want to get there, the cheapest way to get there is to go to Jayapura. You fly in from Bali to Jayapura. I highly, highly recommend you go to Rajasthan, or not Rajasthan, that's India.
To the India, my friends.
Yeah.
And then you go to Jaipur.
No, what's the name? Now I lost my train of thought. Raja Ampat. You go to Raja Ampat. It's like a couple islands away from Papua. Papua is Indonesia, and Papua New Guinea is another country. And then you have Solomon Islands. And you go to Raja Ampat, man, it's so gorgeous and cheap. The only thing that costs money there is they make you pay a pass, which is $100, and you can stay for 1 year or come back again or whatever. But most people don't. You know, they go 1 week and then never come back again. But because it's so far away. But man, it's primitive, and it's very new to tourism and diving. Diving is
Yeah, I know.
it's one of the best.
Yes.
They say, or so
Yeah.
I highly recommend you go to Raja Ampat, then you fly to Jayapura, and then you go to the consultant, and then you can basically cross the border, and it's real easy. You get into a van or a bus, and then once you get to PNG, you get into another van. So, and mainly when you're in PNG, your transportation is boat. Unless you have a lot of money, you can fly. And you can fly even in the little 2-seater, 4-seater airplane, or 4-seater, 6-seater, airplanes. And they'll land you into the village and shit. And yeah, it kind of costs some money, you know. But if you want to be like a cheap local and just travel by the boat, you know. But back to what I was saying before, they treat you like a god, okay? And I will explain this to you, and then I'll basically be done, because my throat's getting dry. So when they think to us as a god, and I'm not being racist, I'm not being color fanatic or something like this, but in our human genes, our colors are everywhere, and as long as you're not colorblind, you have green. And when you have green and you have blue sky, which one is a better looking color? Well, some people might say green, some people might say blue sky. But we all have a color range. And basically, the simplest formation to put it in, to explain it, is basically we have a color code. Same as like the rose system. You have white means something. You have, white means like, death, or, sorry, yellow is like friendship, and red is love, and all these different colors. And they all mean something. And so, and the same thing as when we see a color, and again, I'm not being racist, I'm just going by what I'm telling you and how I think history has played along by this, is that when you see a black color is pretty the dullest color. Like, not in the color mark. It's not in the top 5, No one picks black. If you ask anybody, what's your favorite color? No one picks black, okay? So, and brown is like not much different from the pigment in black, but white, so you have white, brown, and black people in this world, and maybe a little bit in betweens, but basically that's your 3 colors. And the white is already the supreme color out of the brown and black, So when the black people see the white people, they automatically think like, wow, you're like an angel sent from heaven. You're this God. This is how they interpret it, because they see that. As to like, when other people see these colors, they don't really, make that judgment call. So basically that's what I mean. And, because I don't want to sound like I'm racist or some shit, I don't want to hurt no one's feelings. And they think this, and also because of the Christian religion, because Germany brought basically the Catholics in there, and they automatically like, come off as that too, where they think like, oh, the white person is like, this angel or something. Literally, when I was walking, John was even listening to the other village people. One called me Jesus, because they like, this village was like, has been interrupted by missionaries before. So they kind of know the pictures of Jesus in the Bible and stuff. One was calling me Jesus, and another village, they were calling me Papa God, And I thought it was just funny and cute and stuff, but I can honestly think in my mind, I'm like, wow, like I could easily just take over this village, be the kingdom there, attack other villages, steal resources, and all this. I mean, yeah, literally, like if you want, and this is like how I was kind of thinking about, like, wow, like this is what they did thousands of years ago. Because the other villages, they would send some kind of nasty letter or something, or they would, like in PNG, the village fights, because everyone walks around with like homemade guns, and they walk around with their machetes and stuff. They think that they're going to go to war with the next village all the time. And I'm like, dude, I've been out here for 3 weeks. Nothing has happened, besides a banana falling from a tree, And they're like, oh, well, we have to be ready and stuff. And so some of the things about in PNG, like when they don't have sex. So this is the part about the sex. They don't have sex because the men do two things in the country. The first thing the men do is protect the village from war. So that never happens. And the second thing they do is they build houses. And you only build a house like every so often. And it's not like just one man's building a house. No, the whole entire village is building it. So that goes up pretty quickly. So the other 9 months out of the year, they don't do nothing. They might go hunting or something or do that. The women do everything, from the cooking, cleaning, fishing, farming, taking care of the child, everything. And it's like, wow, this is nothing like normal society. And so they, it's just crazy. So they don't have sex because they, like I have a video of this on my YouTube, and it's called Sex Man Soap, or Man Sex Soap, or something like that, in PNG. And they make it, and basically the soap is says simply it says, oh, if you lather up nice and fresh and clean, you'll get longer and harder and stronger, because they're like little kids. So they stink because they never shower there or nothing. They're primitive people, they don't know about hygiene and all this stuff, So they stink really bad. And then, so I think they made up this soap. So then that way the people can actually be like, oh, I need a shower to get my dick longer and stuff, Like crazy thought, but it sells. And so when the men don't have sex. So what happens is, when they want, because I was like, well, damn, man, how you guys have 15 babies and shit if you don't have sex, this is crazy. And they said, when the woman is in heat, they come to us, and they know exactly when the time of the month and all this stuff so basically you only have sex like one time and you have a baby. And I'm like, wow, you're shit out of luck, man. That's like horrible. And they even they don't even sleep in the same room, because they're afraid that they'll fool around and have sex, and then, they're not ready for war. And crazy shit like this. But they're so, childish, And, at nighttime, out of, the first, 3-4 nights, I'm, waking up in the middle of the night, checking out the stars and stuff. And then, I, don't see no one, guarding the property. No one's up. Everyone's asleep. So then, the next day, I was like, you guys talk about all this war shit, but wouldn't you think that you guys should have somebody outside guarding the place at nighttime? And they're like, wow, that's a really good idea. And I'm like, whoa, because they don't know, you know what I mean? They don't know nothing. It's so crazy. And yeah, it's definitely a different world, man. It's nothing like Africa's been overran by tourism and stuff. Africa's no longer the same. And I mean, yeah, maybe you can go deep into Brazil, but you're probably going to die, because them people there don't like any of the white people, because the white people there have destroyed Brazil, or brown people, whatever. They've destroyed Brazil's Amazon and stuff. As to in PNG, it's kind of much harder to get there and then to transport the stuff back. It's not cheap because it's so far away. So that's kind of why it's still kind of primitive, because corporations and stuff can't get there. There's nothing else around. There's Solomon Islands, but even people usually tell you Solomon Islands, there's nothing there. It's just live on an island and that's it. Fish every day. scuba dive or something. But yeah, it's quite unique country for sure. I recommend you going. If you're gonna go, you know, just be sure like you can sleep in the villages like I did. And even like when the very first bus that I got on and I come to the first village, you know, I asked the people on the bus, hey, does anyone have an open spot where I can sleep? And two guys were like, yeah, I can. So I picked the younger guy. And so, yeah, just don't be afraid. You can basically ask. And especially if you have camping gear, you can pretty much camp out. But you need to ask somebody because the people there will act like PNG is super dangerous. And maybe in some places it is. But for sure, they don't eat people still. This is way long ago. You people go to Bali and Indonesia, and they used to eat people there too. So, you know, times have definitely changed over this. And the people definitely are very friendly and they know English as their second language, so they can direct you where you want to go, what you want to do. And basically, they always want you to be safe. So they'll know other family in another city, be calling them, you know, hey, this white person's coming, you know, you need to help them out. And you can kind of see who wants the money there and who doesn't. But most of the people don't. I didn't really run into too many people that wanted my money. They really just wanted to hang out with me. And I mean, a couple guys would try to sell you something, gold or, you know, the face mask the mosquito mask and stuff that I was talking about. And, well, that was another story, not on the camera. But yeah, but you should go. It's very good. They have surfing there. They have diving. You can search for gold. You can make a lot of money there. And you can get a virgin wife, you know? So you pick your choice. So that's pretty much the end of PNG.
Thank
Take
you.
care now. Bye-bye then.